Chapter 1. The Coward's Son. The wind swept across the rolling hills. Beneath the golden glow of the setting sun, dozens of sheep grazed peacefully across the fields. From a distance, it looked like a perfect evening. At least, that's how it seemed. Ethan Ravenwood sat alone on a weathered rock, watching over the flock. 18 years old, a shepherd, an ordinary young man, and the son of the most infamous coward in the kingdom. His fingers absent-mindedly traced the edges of a small wooden carving. It was old and worn from years of handling, the only thing his father had left behind. Still carrying that thing around? The voice made Ethan stiffen. He didn't need to look behind him to know who it was. 3 village boys were making their way up the hill, grinning, laughing, looking for trouble. The tallest one pointed at the carving. "What is it supposed to be? Your father's heroic legacy?" The others burst into laughter. "A hero?" One of them snorted. "No, a traitor, a coward, a deserter." The words hit harder than any punch. Ethan clenched his jaw. He had heard them all before. For 10 years, every day, yet somehow, they never hurt any less. "Leave me alone." The words came out quieter than he intended. The boys exchanged amused glances. Oh, the coward's son finally found his voice. A stone flew through the air. Crack. Pain flashed across Ethan's forehead. Warm blood trickled down the side of his face. The boys laughed even harder. Ethan's hands curled into fists. He could fight. He was stronger than they thought. Maybe strong enough to knock one of them flat. But he didn't move, because he knew how it would end. More people would gather, more laughter, more whispers, more reminders of who he was, or rather, who his father had been. So Ethan remained silent. Silence had become his shield, his prison, and his way of surviving. Eventually, the boys grew bored and left. The hill felt quiet once more. Only the wind remained. Ethan wiped the blood from his brow and stared toward the horizon. The sky burned crimson, as the sun disappeared behind the distant mountains. His father used to love sunsets like this. At least, that was what Ethan remembered. "Father." The word escaped his lips before he realized it. His grip tightened around the carving. "Did you really run away?" The wind offered no answer. 10 years earlier, a terrible war had erupted along the northern frontier. Thousands of soldiers had marched into battle. Many never returned. Among the survivors was Sir Aldrich Ravenwood, Ethan's father. For a brief moment, people believed he had come home a hero. Then the accusations began. The king declared that Aldrich had abandoned his brothers in arms, that he had fled the battlefield, that countless men had died because of his cowardice. He was publicly disgraced, tried, and executed. From that day forward, the name Ravenwood became a curse, and Ethan inherited every ounce of that hatred. Had fallen by the time he returned home. His house stood alone at the edge of the village, small, old, forgotten, much like its owner. Inside, Ethan made a simple supper in silence. A piece of bread, a bowl of vegetable stew, nothing more. The loneliness was almost louder than the crackling fire. Later that night, sleep refused to come. Moonlight spilled through the window. Ethan sat up and pulled a small wooden chest from beneath his bed. Inside were the few belongings that had survived. His father's execution, a faded military crest, a broken medal, and a worn leather journal. Ethan opened it. He had read every page countless times. There was nothing new left to discover. Or so he thought. His eyes widened. The final page, the page that had always been blank. Words were appearing, slowly, as if an invisible hand were writing them in real time. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. The handwriting was unmistakable. It belonged to his father. "If you are reading this..." Ethan stopped breathing. More words appeared. "My son, never go to the northern valley." The candlelight flickered. A cold chill ran through the room. The writing continued. Something sleeps there, an ancient disaster that was never meant to awaken. Ethan stared at the page, unable to look away. Then the final message appeared. If you find the egg, protect it, no matter the cost. At that exact moment, boom, a thunderous roar echoed from the northern mountains. The entire house trembled. The windows rattled. Ethan rushed to the window. Far beyond the dark forests and distant peaks, a brilliant golden light pierced the night sky. Only for a second, then it vanished. Ethan didn't know it yet. He didn't know that the light would change his life forever. That it would lead him to the last dragon. Or that one day, he would meet the greatest friend he would ever have. End of chapter 1. Never go to the Northern Valley. The moment Ethan read those words, destiny had already begun leading him there.